Alright, so after that hunt, I was scared pretty shitless. I thought I had definitely injured that doe, and gave it a few minutes, climbed out of the stand, immediately went up to check my arrow, and pulled it out of the ground. There were a few deer hairs on the broadhead, and I checked the arrow for blood, couldn't find any. I did sniff it, and it did smell a little fleshy. I'd never shot a deer before, so I didn't really know what I was smelling for, but it kind of just smelled like it had a light amount of blood on it, but not enough to actually see it. Pretty concerned at this point. I knew I had shot high. It was something that I have done before, shooting a deer, and I've always missed, but just right over the shoulder blades. This time I cut right through the hide. Not deep enough to hit any bone or spine or anything, but I definitely cut some flesh. I would imagine maybe about this deep off the top of the back. That would be my best guess. So I crawled around the field edge and came up over this hill. And then when I got a view over the hill, I did see all 6 or 7 of them. But they were all standing, walking single file, and eventually just started feeding again. No, none of the deer ended up laying down or anything. I definitely found the tracks of them running up over the hill across the snow, and there definitely was no blood to be found, which is good. So I got lucky. I definitely skimmed the hide of that doe, but I do not believe that she is injured, and she won't suffer from it. And a couple weeks after that, there was some trail camera footage that I recorded, and I believe that doe is in there, and she's doing just fine. I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain that that doe is okay. So, relieved now, but I was pretty paranoid at the time. I just wanted to confirm that I think that deer is okay. Looking back at the footage, can't really tell where the arrow went. Unfortunately, my bow kind of fell in the way of the shot upon impact, and you can hear it. It didn't just hit the ground like the previous shot. It definitely caught some flesh, but nothing lethal. January 14th, 8 a.m. Now I think that doe was behind me for quite some time. She either followed my scent trail in and stood behind me looking uphill for movement, or she caught a bit of that downhill breeze that was going on for a few minutes. Now I thought that breeze would have been fine, being on a hill, that it would kind of shoot out and stay high, but she definitely got a whiff of something and stood there quietly, and eventually I moved. I'm sitting in a pretty small tree, so my cover from behind is, it's only good if I'm perfectly still. Wasn't moving much, but she saw something. I think it was when I was checking on my camera. After yesterday's hunt, I tore my setup down and moved it about 80 yards to the other side of this thick brush in between two ridges. Yesterday morning around 7:15, I saw my target buck along with a couple others working their way uphill, and they came right through this pinch point I'm set up for now. It's not something he comes through every single day, but when it does happen, I'm going to be in a pretty good spot. The base of my lone wolf is about 8 feet high. From my waist down, I'm covered up by these mountain laurels. You can't even see the stand when you get out of the tree, though I've been taking a down oak tree, using some of those oak branches to enhance my cover. But where I'm sitting is a pinch point. I've noticed that deer come up from far on my left and work their way towards me to get between a whole bunch of old down timber material from previous logging. And there's a nice little cut right through it, and that's what I'm set up for. So it's just a game of waiting. Not too happy about that doe busting me first morning in this new stand, but it can still work. Typically the bucks come through first. I noticed today the movement was a little late. I'm assuming my target buck and the others worked up on the right side of the mountain. I might have heard something at first light, so that could have been them. And then the doe groups, they take their time. They come up here between 7:30 and about 8:15, but there still could be other doe groups working their way up. So I'm gonna wait for them to come through maybe, and then back up and keep working on my cover here with some more oak branches.